Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's our 4 years here in Canada. And if you have been watching my channel, you know that I bring him in all our annual videos to talk about what's been happening in the last 4 years, specifically the last year since we've talked about being in Canada, giving you some more insights on what's going on right now and talking about things which all immigrants want to know about, some of the hot topics like rent, daycares, and things like that. So I got the expert.
I'm not the expert, but sure, I'll do my best.
So one of the biggest highlights since the last time we did that was we finally became Canadians. Whoop whoop! How do you feel about that?
It's a good feeling because it's been a that was our main goal since we came here, like before we even prepared to come here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like we have accomplished that.
And why do you think that was our main goal? Like, what do you mean by when you say that was our main goal?
That was our goal, like in 2017. So it's a goal which took us a while to achieve.
Yeah, and I guess
So
one of the main goals of being Canadian is for the passport privilege
oh yeah,
and
yeah.
to travel. Yeah, so if you guys know that with third world country passports, we always have to get visas beforehand. And just an example, if you guys have been following me on Instagram and watching my previous YouTube videos, you would know that we went to the UK recently and it took us a lot of time and hassle to apply for a UK visit visa for only 6 months, and we've spent about 500 Canadian dollars for the two of us just to apply, and we had to go all the way to Edmonton to get that visa. While as Fawaz, who's a Canadian citizen, he required literally nothing, zero. He just went with us and his passport didn't even get stamped, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
we found that super shocking, and so we know the passport privilege like so well now. We
And our flight got delayed in Germany, and
right.
we couldn't even stay anywhere in Germany because we didn't have the German visa. But if we had the Canadian passport, we could even stay. They
Stay
could
there, provide us
arrange
a
a hotel.
hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah, they could arrange a hotel for us. So our flight got delayed while we were coming back to Canada. And the main reason was even though Fawaz has a Canadian passport, his parents didn't have at that time. So they couldn't provide us any hotel. And we had to land in Vancouver instead of Calgary because there was no direct flights back to Calgary from Frankfurt. And these are like the sort of hassles we want to avoid in the future. And now that we became Canadians last month, actually, which was super exciting for us, we are excited to travel more with our Canadian passport and really avoid this whole visa hassle and get that passport privilege. So that's a big up for us in the last year. And not just about being Canadians, we actually did do a lot of things last year, and there are a lot of updates. So currently, the whole world is in inflation, right?
yeah.
And Canada is also deep in inflation. Just to give you a recent example, rent is skyrocketing and it's at its all-time high right now. If you're planning to move to Calgary, you have to make arrangements from before because you can barely find rent, right? Like,
You can barely find apartments or
yeah,
like any place to live. Yeah, and even if you do so, the rent's extremely high. So you have to make sure they're just like Vancouver or Toronto, two people are working or so, or else it's gonna be unlivable
yeah,
for one person
that's
working.
true.
And yeah,
Yeah. And
and it's
also,
very hard to even find like one bedroom or like
even
one room.
basement, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
basement is hard. So I've been working with my colleagues, and a lot of them are staying with their parents now to save on rent. People who have lived here for years, because they're saying that with one person's salary, like it's 600, 700, $800 just for like one room in the apartment, not even a whole apartment.
And like a shared bathroom.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
shared bathroom. So you're like living with another person and you just for that one room you're spending 600 to $800, and it's really expensive right now. Like we Our rent also increased by $100 from last year, and it's just because we are in this apartment for a couple years now. That's why the increase is less according to them. But if we were to rent a new apartment, a two-bedroom right now costs anywhere between 1,800.
Yeah, 16 to like 2000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somewhere between that.
1600 to
And
2000.
1600 apartments are basically on the outskirts of the city
Yeah,
where you need like a car, or like you need a car for to travel within the city because it's not near any bus stands or
if
anything.
it's a two bedroom
Yeah, if
and
it's a
one
two
washroom,
bedroom.
yeah,
So
that's the
it's
price.
it's like being very, very difficult right now with rent. So, and everybody from Toronto, Montreal, and people from the East are moving to Calgary right now because East itself is becoming very unlivable. But since people are moving to Calgary, it's also like becoming unlivable, and it will be within the next few years. So let's give you an example. When we moved in 2019, I think it was only 800,000 people
Yeah,
living in.
800 to 900,000 people, the
Yeah,
population of Calgary.
yeah, and now I think within the last 4 years that we're living here, it jumped up to 1.3 million.
Yeah,
So you like that's like 500,000 people came in.
approximately, yeah.
Yeah.
And there is barely any increase in housing. So,
Yeah, and the housing didn't increase. People's salary didn't increase that drastically. So we're right now in the middle of inflation, all-time high, and rent is increasing. And I guess that's what happens when you're in inflation, where you just struggle to pay for everything, right?
yeah, yeah. And even like two people working, it gets really hard. Just like Vancouver or Toronto. That's
Yeah.
why people try to move to Calgary, but looks like even Calgary is going to a direction too close to Toronto and
Yeah,
Vancouver.
that's true. So I want you guys to keep that in mind because I get a lot of DMs and asking me about how's the rent situation in Calgary. And to be honest, guys, it's not looking the best right now. And if you're planning to move, just make sure that you know someone from before or you do your research. And the hard part is they also don't open apartments until it's a month before that you're looking to get it. So let's say if you're looking to move in September, you're only going to know from end of July what is really available, right? That's how
Yeah,
the.
that is true. Yeah, every time we tried to get, we
Yeah,
got it like the first, like just exactly 20 or 4 weeks before we
yeah,
wanted to move
move
in the
in.
apartment. Yeah, that's how it is. Like some people, they discontinue their contract exactly in the last month, so nobody really knows. And because of the housing market being so low, like there's no housing, so everybody gets booked very quickly. So anytime you get a house and you like it, you do have to make sure you make a deposit as soon as you can, or else you're gonna miss that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the renting situation right now in Calgary. I also wanted to touch base with job market right now in Calgary and also whole of Canada. So job market is also not looking the best right now. Like they do have a lot of availabilities in Indeed, LinkedIn, but we have noticed this based on our experiences and the people around us that when you apply for jobs, there are jobs in the market. They're showing all those on Indeed and LinkedIn. But when you apply for those jobs, the same positions are not being filled. And suddenly the employer closes down the job description and the job opening. And then again, a couple months later, the same employer uploads the same job again in the market and they are targeting the same audience. So I am really one of the biggest examples for this. I applied to this I administration office as a administrative assistant back in January, and there were four interviews. I did all the four interviews, and I thought it was really good because I went all the way up to the last interview, and then all of a sudden I was ghosted, and I didn't hear back from the employer. And even though I messaged the employer, like, what's going on, what happened, or am I selected, or if I'm rejected, I want to know the reason. No response. And then a couple months later, I see the same job opening again on Indeed, and the same employer reached me again to apply. And not just me. Then we found the same thing with you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like,
With a lot of job openings, it's like that. And I've read some article where it said that the HRs are not finding the right fit for their job because there are so many people who are moving to Canada, but they're saying that they're not finding the right people to hire. So there are like a lot of job posting which are open, or there is this also way of a company tries to show themselves like they're growing, so they always keep a job posting open to show that they are taking in people,
yeah.
which is not really true most of the time.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
these are like the loopholes which you don't hear or anyone talking about it. And these are some of the things which are really happening in Canada. And once you live over here, you really know that these are the internal things that are happening. I don't understand why they're doing this because there are a lot of people who are looking for jobs right now. They are unemployed. They are wanting a job desperately. And given the inflation, given everything being risen right now with all the bills going up and everything, people need jobs. But people are applying, and the companies which are supposed to be giving jobs out, they somehow close down the whole position, and then they say that they're not finding the right fit, even though like so many people are applying to it, but they're not giving it to anyone. So that's something I wanted to also let you guys know about. So I know it can be very discouraging because we did, and we still find it a bit discouraging. We do have jobs right now. If you are wondering if we do have jobs, we do have jobs, and maybe we'll touch base on that some other time. But we are currently working different jobs from last year. Well, last year I was in maternity leave, and he
yeah,
was working in retail management, but we both switched. So we are no longer working at our previous jobs, and right now I'm working as an office administrator, and he's working as a social media community manager for different companies. So we do have jobs, thankfully, but the situation is really not the best. And I just want you guys to not be disheartened and know that this is a thing that is happening in Canada, where even like you might think that, oh, I may not have the Canadian experience, that's why they're not hiring me, or I may not have a diploma or a certificate, but it's also like this thing is going on, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah. Of
some,
course, diploma and certificate will help you,
yeah.
but this is happening no matter what.
Yeah, so there's something to like know about. And
Don't be like discouraged when
yeah,
you're
yeah,
applying and
exactly.
stuff.
Don't
Yeah.
be discouraged. Keep applying, and let's hope that the employers really like stop doing this and give people chances, because it's really very discouraging for people who are struggling to make a living. And then a lot of the people are moving to Calgary because they hear that there are a lot of opportunities to grow, but when they move here, they get depressed because this is what's happening in Calgary too, and there's a lot of population increase and influx, so this is causing that for more competition as well. So I guess that's something to talk about. And what else? Oh, I wanted to talk about daycares because I think that's something which is really new for us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And you
like,
have explored few by now.
yeah, we have explored few by now, and in past people asked me a lot of questions about daycares, and we didn't have kids back then, so I couldn't really give anybody accurate information. But now that we have Fawaz, and we are looking to put him into a daycare because he's going to be 18 months soon, and we want to put him in daycare so that we can work properly and both of us can work independently. But right now with Fawaz, we're actually juggling our work schedules around him, so it's getting a bit difficult, and we do have to put him since we don't have family around here. And what we have realized is daycares also take a down payment, so they do take a deposit. And that was something super crazy to us because we never knew that they take deposits, right? Like
Yeah,
we were not prepared for that. It's like getting a house for your child, which is really weird. And they expect you to pay half of the daycare fees. So daycare fees are like 1,500, 1,700, and they expect you to pay anywhere between $600 to $1,000 as a deposit, which
yeah,
is super crazy. And it's really weird because a lot of the people don't expect this at all. $1,000 is a lot, right?
Yeah, just like you said, it's like a home for your kid. So
Yeah.
you're paying like $1,000 to $2,000 deposit for your own apartment, and then you have to pay like an extra $1,000 deposit for your child too,
Yeah.
depending on which daycare you go to. Like it varies from $600 to $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and the another thing about daycares is that they put you on wait lists. So in Calgary, it's not as crazy as Vancouver or Toronto right now, but they do have a wait list where you have to be on it at least a couple months before. So we're looking to put Fawaz in September to October, and we are already in wait list since end of June, first week of July. And so you have to be in a wait list, and there around 20 people before us, 15 people before us in some daycares, 10 people before us. So that's something to think about. And if you're planning to put your kid in daycare, you have to know that there is a wait list and you're expected to wait. And you can't really find out at least 2 to 3 months before which daycare you're gonna go into. And another thing about daycares is that once the spot opens up, I think it was 48 hours that you have to
Yeah,
pay the
yeah,
deposit
yeah.
by, right?
Deposit, yeah. And the what was the registration administration fees?
Yeah, that was
And
$150. So each daycare also has an additional administration fee. It depends from 150 to 200 depending on the daycare. So that was the part about daycares. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you've liked our video so far, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're new to our channel, do subscribe. I would really love it when I see more subscribers and me really helping people make a difference over here and giving them information. It really helps me when I get to hear from so many of you that I'm helping you guys. So do subscribe if you haven't already. Now, moving on, I do get asked this question a lot, and I guess we both of us get asked this question a lot from people who don't live in Canada. And the number one question everybody asks from Bangladesh or India, Pakistan, and people in the Middle East, like if they should be moving to Canada. So, what would you tell people who are looking to immigrate right now, and what would you tell them about moving to Canada?
like finding like why are you moving? What is the
Yeah.
reason you're moving and comparing it to where you are. If you think you're gonna have a better life, like or better income compared to where you are, depending on that or like whatever you're looking for, like healthcare or whatever it is you're looking for, you need to compare both the aspects and make sure you do a good comparison because when we think of like Canada, we think like it's the best in everything,
Yeah, the
but
grass always looks greener
yeah,
on the other
like
side.
healthcare example,
Yeah,
like
but
for
healthcare,
an MRI you have to book for 9 months, you have to stay in line, while if you're in Bangladesh or India or Pakistan you could just go now if you have the money to do an MRI.
yeah, that's true.
Those are some of the example, but you need to know what is important for you and why you're moving. You really need to answer that question. If you don't have that question, if you're not like you didn't properly think this out, then you should wait till you have the
Yeah.
answer and then move, or else you're just gonna come here and you're gonna be shocked.
And I think to add to Kazi's point over here, a lot of the people when they are coming to Canada, they always hear like when you're in Bangladesh or in the third world countries or Middle East, you think that Canada is like this beautiful place where every dreams come true, right? Something like that, and you expect easy life and people they do anything to come to Canada without doing the research. And I feel like a lot of the people who are moving to Canada, they don't know that you really do have to struggle or hustle over here for the first few years. It's not going to come easy to you. You have to have a plan out. It won't be the job you were working for back at home if you were working at a better job. And you do have to spend few years getting a Canadian experience, getting a certificate or a diploma, working the whole job atmosphere, moving up again. So it's like starting your life all over again in a new place where you don't really have much to start on. And so that's what I've been telling people who come to us for advice recently, like, do know your reason why you're moving here. A lot of the people tell us that they're moving for their kids' better future. And again, you need to ask yourself, like, what is better? What is the term better that you're looking for? If you're okay with hustling for a few years and you have a very good job back home, but you know that you're not going to get something over here instantly, and you're okay for hustling for a few years and then finding something which will work for you, you have that expectation, then yes, do make the move. But if you don't come with the right expectations, then Canada will be disappointing for you, right?
Yeah, that is very great.
And what do you think about us staying in Canada in the long run? Like, do you like being in Canada? What do you think it's like living in Canada, and would you recommend it to people?
So far, I don't have a problem staying in Canada other than the expenses and the taxes.
Yeah, something. Oh,
Uh,
I wanted to touch base on the taxes now that you brought it up. Thank you. So, a lot of the people also don't know that when you earn here in Canada, a third of your income goes in taxes. And when people first start working over here and they get the salary and they see that a chunk of it is already cut for taxes, people are really surprised, right?
yeah, they're really surprised. And that is not the only taxes you get cut. So people then think about that, and then you have the sales tax, which if you purchase anything in Canada, you have to pay
Yeah.
taxes on that. So in Alberta is the least, which is 5%. Everywhere else, it's above 10%. So that is also something to look at. So
Yeah.
you're getting like 25 to 30% taxed on your income, and then you're paying 5 to 15% tax on the things you purchase. So yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and so what were you saying about recommending it? Like you would tell people?
I mean, yeah, those are the only things, like, those are the few important things which really make me think that if it's a good decision to stay. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the weather. I still hate driving in the winter. And
And would you recommend Canada to people?
the same, I would ask them, why are you moving? I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't like recommend or not recommend. It depends on your like lifestyle and what you're doing wherever you are right now. It all depends on that. I wouldn't tell everybody to come here. It's not like it might not be the best for everybody. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for to everybody.
Depending on their situation
Yeah,
is what you're
exactly.
saying. Like you would listen to their situation and
Yeah,
based on that you would
yeah,
be
I would
giving.
make a recommendation.
Yeah. And so do you see yourself living in Calgary in the long run?
Yeah, I like Calgary. I think if it was any other city in Canada, I think most probably it would be Calgary, unless it's like maybe a smaller town for some reason, maybe when we're older. But before that, I think Calgary is a good place.
To start and to live, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we've even discussed about Calgary being our home, especially when we went to the UK this time.
yeah,
And after it was 2 weeks, we stayed there for about 3 weeks. But after we hit the 2 week mark, we are like, oh, we can't wait to go back home. And we're really missing Calgary. And it's true that the Canadians have the best behavior and are the nicest people when it comes to people generally in the world. And I guess because we were living in Canada for the last 4 years, we kind of forgot that we took this for granted, right? And then when we went
yeah,
to the UK is when we saw the real difference between behavior of people living in Canada, Canadians in general, and people in the UK. And for sure, Canadians are one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Everybody is super polite, super helpful. So it is really a good place to live. But depending on your requirements right now in life and where you are in life, I would say you have to think about the pros and cons because immigration is never easy, right? Like you're uprooting your whole life from somewhere and moving somewhere else. So that's never going to be easy. And you have to think about long term things. Like we think about a lot about not being around family, right? And
yeah. We thought about it when we came here.
yeah,
So,
but now that we have for
and
once,
this is something which our parents did too because they had their own lives in Saudi Arabia. So that's
yeah,
something we are used to. I think that's why it
yeah,
might be a little bit easier for us
I
compared to
guess
most
so.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. So that was it for now. It is a super long video. So if you guys have stayed till the end, I want to thank you guys.
And comment Kazi if you stayed this long.
Oh, Right. Oh, and so thank you so much, guys, again for all your support, for encouraging us all the time, and for those of you who are following our journey since the beginning of time, since the time we moved to Canada to the time we are here today. I want to thank you guys, and we want to thank you guys for your support. And do let us know what you guys think. If there are any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we are definitely ready to answer your questions, suggest any other things you want to know about. So, if you have liked our video today, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're new. Hope to see you guys in my next video real soon. Till then, bye.